And so when we look at carbohydrates, we've got obviously these processed grains and sugar, and these are the carbohydrates we want to be really moving away from, okay, because they just cause our blood sugar levels to come up and then crash. And then we want to be eating the good carbohydrates, which are essentially fruit and vegetables, all right? Particularly vegetables, particularly the green leafy vegetables, because green leafy vegetables have the most nutrition in per calorie. And really it's a game of nutrition. Okay, we're trying to get the nutrition in. All right? So carbohydrates, they do help give us energy, but you also need to realize that carbohydrates are a non-essential nutrient, meaning that you can live indefinitely without them. I don't recommend that, all right, because it doesn't mean you can live optimally without them, but they're a non-essential nutrient. And so there's a ladder of nutrition regarding carbohydrates. And at the bottom, you've got these processed foods, these damaged fats. Above that, you've got white bread. Stepping above that, you've got brown bread. Now, just the fact that you've come to listen to and paid to listen to a guy talk about nutrition, I'd expect you to at least be at the brown bread level. All right. So I'm just going to go ahead and assume you're already at least at the brown bread level. And then stepping up from there, you'd be looking at a homemade sourdough bread made with an ancient whole grain flour. It's a little bit of a mouthful, that. And so the ancient whole grain flour, the reason it's got to be an ancient whole grain flour is because the bread and the grains we're eating now, the wheat we're eating now, is nothing like the wheat that your grandmother was eating. Nothing like it. So due to the hybridization of grain in the last 15 years, the gluten content has doubled. All right? So we want to be moving, stepping up to at least that. And then stepping up from there, and ideally this is where I'd like you to be, minimally. Stepping up to, would be eating soaked whole grains. All right? So what you do with soaked whole grains, I'll give you an example of this, is I've got 5 and 8-year-old girls, and their favorite breakfast is rice pudding. It's incredibly easy to do. What you do, you take brown basmati rice, you soak it overnight. And you want to soak it overnight because you want to basically trick the grain into growing and sprouting. And it releases its enzyme inhibitors, releases its phytic acid, so it releases these anti-nutrients that bind the nutrition. And then you rinse it in the morning, and you add some more water, or in the case of rice pudding, you add some milk, okay, and you cook it, and there's rice pudding. Incredibly nutritious, incredibly cheap to do. And then this time of year, you can lots of peaches around, things like that. So we cut up peaches and have peaches. Now my children are in a controlled environment. They've got me as their father. We'll see how that goes as they get teenagers. But they don't have really sugar at this stage. They get a little bit in there, but it's certainly very rarely at home. So they will happily eat that. No problem at all. Your children may have been exposed to more sugar, and so you may need to sort of maybe some honey in there just to sweeten that and to get that across the line. So these whole grains. So you can look at brown basmati rice, buckwheat, millet, quinoa, even porridge. Okay, and so you've got brown rice salads, you've got quinoa salads, buckwheat salads. So you're not only limited to breakfast options with these things. And then stepping up from there regarding carbohydrates, if you wanted to step up your nutrition from there one more level, you'd basically be looking at vegetables and leafy greens. And the reason vegetables and leafy greens is because, like I said, they have the most nutrition per calorie. And that's what we're looking for, is nutrition.